Modal verb mastery. Unveiling. Should, ought to, and had better. Hello, English learners. Welcome to another exciting video in our series on modal verbs. Today, we're focusing on the modal verbs we often use to give advice. Should, ought to, and had better. We'll break them down, show you when and how to use them, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to use these verbs like a pro. Before we dive into the details, let's revisit the basic meaning of these modal verbs. Should and ought to are used to express advice, obligation, or expectation. For example, you should study for the test. Or, you ought to call your mother. Had better, on the other hand, is used to give strong advice or warnings, often implying a negative consequence if not followed. For example, you had better take an umbrella. It might rain. Let's begin with should. This modal verb is a friendly way of giving advice, making suggestions, or saying what we think is right or wrong. It is one of the most common ways to give advice in English. Example: you should drink more water. Next up is ought to. This is a more formal way to give advice and is not as commonly used in everyday spoken English. However, it is still important to understand as you may encounter it in written English, formal situations, or in older literary works. Example: we ought to respect our elders. Finally, we have had better. This is a stronger and more urgent form of giving advice. Be careful, though, because had better often implies a threat or a negative consequence if the advice is not followed. Example: you had better not forget your passport. In summary, while all three of these modal verbs can be used to give advice, they vary in their tone and formality. Should is the most common, friendly, and informal. Ought to is more formal and less common in spoken English. Had better is the strongest, with a sense of urgency and potential negative consequences. And there we have it. Now you understand how to use should, ought to, and had better when giving advice in English. Remember, practice is key when learning to use these modal verbs correctly. Try using them in your everyday conversations and you'll master them in no time. As always, keep learning, keep practicing, and you'll see improvement before you know it. Until next time, happy learning!